All right, this is Frank Klesitz with Vyral Marketing. Thank you so much for watching this. If you're watching this, maybe some of the other reviews that I've done, you want to learn more about how to recruit real estate agents to your team or brokerage. Today, you're gonna meet Shawn. He's in Jacksonville. He took the 6-month recruiting course, the project that we put together, and he's gonna tell you about it. What worked well, or some of the challenges, and just some of the things that he learned throughout the course of how to set up a strategy where you can attract agents to you, as opposed to just getting a list in a phone and having to cold prospect them all, which is a very difficult thing to do, especially when you have to run a business full time like Shawn. So, how you doing, Shawn? Say hi.
I'm good.
Good.
How are you, Frank?
I'm doing great. Thanks for doing this. So how did you first hear about this course that I put together, this project?
I think I heard of a couple people that were having some success with you, and I needed to figure out a system to recruit people. So just kind of looking at some of the reviews and hearing about the class and being a client of you guys, a natural fit to look into it, to research it.
At what point of where were you at in your business to bite into this? Tell me what your business was running. What were you doing? How did you know it was the right time to make the commitment that was required to do this for 6 months?
Yeah, so for us, we were the largest agent at a big brokerage, and we were in the process of going independent. We knew we had a clean slate to do it our way, and we figured why not model other people's success versus trying to figure it out on our own.
Cool. All right. So you rolled in this course. Overall, what would you say was the major theme throughout the material that made it unique? What was unique about the approach that I share with you? Because there's no lack of anyone else teaching their recruiting systems. You picked this recruiting system. What was the overall theme of this approach as opposed to some other approaches that you may have tried or studied in the past?
I would say instead of just a handful of techniques that were strung together, there was actually like a workbook and a proven system here. And that's what I was excited about. It was 6 months worth of modules that literally dove deep, step by step, into things that I probably haven't looked at more than just kind of on a surface level ever.
So 6 months, that sounds like a long time to get this done. How did the timing work for this for you with the weekly assignments? Tell me about how the course was structured and what you liked about it, what you didn't like about the actual format.
Yeah, so it was broken down in topics that were kind of laid out for you so you could see what was happening. We had a 1 hour call weekly, and then we had items to kind of implement between our calls.
Yeah, so we got together on a Zoom meeting with like 6 or 8 agents once a week, which was live with me. And then once a week, you had a call with John to kind of personalize the material to get it implemented in the office. Right?
Yeah, we had some action items that I would normally do my best to get done. And then John would have a call with us a couple of days later to see what do we actually get done, what do we need help with, what do we need to dive in more deeper, personalized for my issues. My challenge was always implementation of going from an idea to an action step. So that was very helpful to kind of learn it, have time to do it, and then check in with John and him just kind of help us drive it through.
So of all the lessons, of the 24 different lessons, all the different sections that I put together for the material, what stood out the most to you? What was the most exciting part of all of it that you really liked that aspect, that part of the material?
I think my biggest takeaway mindset-wise and with the program was that we're not recruiting agents, we're a training and coaching company, and we help people get to their goals. And this is just the way that we can connect with people to start the conversation.
Tell me more about that. What do you mean by that?
Well, posting the magically well-written ad on Indeed isn't the magic, right? Like the right ad. It's a piece of it, but it's about starting conversations with people that might be like-minded to your company's mission, what we think we're really good at, and then joining forces with other people. So that became kind of our mindset, and is our mindset now. Whereas before, I would say we would have conversations like, "Oh, we need a couple more buyers agents," or "We need a listing partner that's administrator." Now we're able to look at people and saying, how do we partner up? How do we merge together? Because we're really training and helping people get to their goals. It's there really was a mindset shift for us.
And so how many years have you been selling real estate?
It's a great question. I got my
Oh, no,
license in
no.
99.
How long?
I got my license in 99. I would say running a real estate team at a high level has been since 2010.
2010. So a good solid 8 years running a team. And I really mean this. It wasn't until this course about 8 years later, there was this fundamental shift of like, you have to deem yourself as an educator and trainer and leader of agents, as opposed to just being a recruiter. And that was a big shift that you went through throughout the course. Is that correct? What was
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. I mean, there'd be people talking to us and we're trying to fit them into our box probably the last 7 or 8 years. But now we're talking to people about where they want to go. Now you can see how there's opportunities to join forces.
So how long did it take for you to be able to make that shift of the way you think about how to attract people to you? Wasn't the first course, the second lesson? How long did it take throughout the course to like, wow, I really have to, when did it really set in? Like you have to lead and train?
I think it was probably like week 8 for me. It was like, I'm a slow learner. Maybe it was eight weeks in. I was like, whoa, okay, I got it. It's not just about set this up, set that up, do this. It's a combination of multiple things we're doing to put ourselves out to the universe to attract, our people that want to be on the same mission we're on.
So throughout the course, what was the most difficult part for you? Whether it was technically of executing or it was just more of like fear of doing something. What was the most difficult aspect of the course? Can you remember?
Yeah, I think, anytime you're going to do things differently, you have to let go and trust the process. So that was definitely something for us. Sometimes it'd be a week or two before I just kind of like made the commitment to actually take action.
What did you postpone the commitment on the most? What was the thing I asked you to do that you're like, you delayed and procrastinated?
Like I remember it was like, hey, just set up I've been a coach for other organizations and when it was like, hey, just put yourself out there. If anyone wants to talk about their business, have a coaching session with them. And I was like, what? Like, I'm just going to put myself out there to the universe. Everyone's going to take me up on that. And I think you start realizing like, well, no, it's always good to have that offer out there. And we probably do that anyway. We're givers by nature. So.
Yeah. The idea of just a free open coaching call with anybody. Right.
Just had to take action on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like clicking a button so you could just do it. Right. Like there's a mindset change to say, okay, that makes sense.
Sure. Okay. So let's talk about some of the results that you've seen with this. When we first started the course, I tried to get you something quick. We craft an offer and we actually write down why in the world anyone would ever consider working for you. And that's a fairly long, persuasive message, right? We put it up on your agent training site and we send an email to your whole list, buyers, sellers, past clients, like everybody, to let them know that you're hiring. And then we also put it up on some of the job boards. Now, I think you were actually struggling with some of the job board stuff in Jacksonville, which hasn't been the case for some others. But did you get any results, and be honest, with the email out to your past client sphere, buyers, sellers, like the whole list, as well as the job boards? Has anything come from that to this point before we get like some of the agent training stuff?
Yeah, we had 2 people completely reach out to us. One was someone that was in my network, and another person who's actually on our team now was someone who was considering selling their home that we actually didn't list it, but we had a great connection with them. They didn't know we were hiring because they're getting into the business. So
so this is somebody who wasn't an agent. This is just a prospect.
This is a seller, a past seller, yeah, past potential seller that never became a seller.
Did that kind of wow you that you could find a recruit that way?
I mean, I never really thought about it. Yeah, as attracting them because it became an attraction thing. We didn't like call our past sellers or appointments. They just kind of reached out to us and started the process.
Mm-hmm. So after that, go ahead.
The other person that came to us, it wasn't a fit for where they're at, but they actually referred a seasoned agent to us that just moved to the area. So really solid people that came to us from that email.
Nice. So the next step is we started moving into like a little less hiring and we moved into recruiting, where you take someone who's already successful somewhere that really isn't really looking necessarily for a change to bring them over to you. And kind of the foundation of that is the agent training, the business planning clinic, the standardized 2 to 3 hour event that you hold every month, every quarter, whatever it may be, to help people write a clear one-page business plan of what they have to do to sell homes. How's that going?
So we had our first business planning. 13 people signed up for it. We had a ridiculous electrical storm like 30 minutes before it. Lots of rain. We still had 5 people show up, which was great. And we have our second one coming up this Friday, actually. And I think we have about 10 people that signed into that. And this is with us not even dialing in the system. We're not even spending any money on ads yet for that.
This is just the natural emails and Facebook posts and some of the organic reach out going on.
Organic, yeah.
How many people total? I mean, have you recruited so far from the system? Have you found people that are a a good fit? So you said you had found 2. What about through the other things that you're doing?
From the first meeting, there's one person that's a really solid fit. They're currently at a big brokerage now. We're just kind of working on the transition plan. Mm-hmm. And so there's one that came from the first one, and I expect similar results for the second one. But it's just a system. It's just something we're doing.
Oh yeah, it's never going to stop.
It's just part of what we do.
Mm-hmm. Well, so you have a lot of things going on. So one of the previous interviews I did with Frank Gray, I mean, his only task was to focus on recruiting for 50, 60 hours a week for 6 months, right? I mean, you actually have to sell real estate and run a business in the meantime, right, Shawn?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So an agent for you, so would you say you put like 3 solid recruits? Yeah. How many good people have you gotten out of this so far?
Yeah. So 2 people on our team and one other person that's has some transitioning they have to do. So 3 people.
That's great. And if they're productive, what are each of those 3 worth to you every year if they hit their goals that you have reasonably set for them?
Yeah, I mean, minimum $60,000 to $100,000 a year.
So each hire is worth 60 to 100K of gross profit a year to you?
Yes.
It's different recruiting for a small team than a big brokerage, isn't it?
Yeah, we live in being partners.
Good. All right. So I can't remember if I asked you this, what was one of the biggest challenges with the course with you? One of the biggest difficulties that you had with one of the lessons that was the hardest?
With a specific lesson?
Yeah, if there was this thing that you had to implement that was really hard for you, what was that?
Yeah, so part of what it requires us to do is build relationships over time. So us going out and finding someone to help start conversations with the executive assistant for the CEO, hiring the right person to start that dialogue and personalizing it with a list of people we thought would be good fits with us.
That was the hardest.
That was probably the hardest because it required us to
sit down and focus and pull it off.
Find it, give an activity every single month that we want to do, measure it. It was a new process we didn't have in place.
So that's the outbound messaging assistant, right?
Yes.
So again, if you're watching this, basically the idea is that you hire 2 part-time people to literally just send one-to-one personal emails to local agents in your target market in your MLS to just invite them to watch a video or invite them to your Facebook page. And have you made some progress on that yet? Or are you still struggling with finding those hires? This was the exact same issue that Frank had on the Frank Gray, not me, Frank, but another Frank, on the previous interview.
We have one in place so far. It's been about a month. We could do better. I'm not sure how much personalization is happening, how much interaction. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I did get an agent who wanted to have a cup of coffee with me that came out of that. So it's all outreach. It's all systems. It's all little things you do consistently to build your pipeline.
Sure. So what does someone need to know if they're thinking about enrolling in this? What tips, you've been through it, you've been through all the training, you know what has to be done. What do you want to tell them to be successful? Like if they're thinking about signing up and enrolling in this?
Yeah, to be successful, there's 2 things. You have to make the weekly commitment for 6 months. Do the things that are required between the calls. Then you have to have someone on your team, in my opinion, to help you implement.
Good. And do you have that person?
I did not have that person. That was my problem.
That actually is one of the secrets. Is usually there is a strong implementer that works with the rainmaker, such as yourself, that could really help get this stuff pulled off.
Yeah, there were two of us, but we were doing similar. We both like to do similar things. So that
For sure.
we did not align. It took us about 2 months to figure that out, start moving forward.
So what's next for you? That's my last question. What's next for you after this course? You have a solid foundation. You can go back. You have a copy of the workbook. I don't know where it is, but I have the workbook for you that's been put together for the entire course for you to follow. What do you plan on doing with this next 6 to 12 months with the material that you have to grow your brokerage and your team? What's next?
The most important thing is to keep getting the word out that we're here to help other people, and to start community of like-minded, real estate experts, people that are trying to be better than that average agent in Jacksonville.
That's great. Shawn, thank you so much.
Thank you, Frank.